Lecture number 3, Journalistic Style. The plan of the lecture: journalistic genre variations, journalistic style as a system of interrelated lexical, phraseological, and grammatical means, and distinctive properties of journalistic language. Primary functions of journalistic style. As for journalistic genre variations, they are the following. The first is feature journalism. Newspapers and periodicals often contain features written by journalists, many of whom specialize in this form of in-depth journalism. Feature articles usually are longer than straight news articles and combined with photographs, drawing, or other art. Typographic effects or colors highlight them. Writing features can be more demanding than writing straight news stories because while a journalist must apply the same amount of effort to accurately gather and report the facts of the story, the reporter must also find a creative and interesting way to write the article, especially the lead, or the first one or two paragraphs of the story. Sport journalism covers many aspects of human athletic competition and is an integral part of most journalism products, including newspapers, magazines, and radio and television's new broadcasts. Sport journalism has traditionally been written in a looser, more creative and more up-to-date tone than traditional journalistic writing. The emphasis on accuracy and underlying fairness is still a part of sport journalism. An emphasis on accurate description of statistical performances of athletes is also an important part of sport journalism. As for the science journalism, it is a relatively new branch of journalism in which journalist reporting conveys information on science topics to the public. Science journalists must understand and interpret very detailed, technical, and sometimes jargon-laden information and render it into interesting reports that are comprehensible to consumers of news media. Many, but not all, journalists covering science have trained in the sciences they cover, including several medical doctors who cover medicine. As for the investigative journalism, in which journalists investigate and expose unethical, immoral, and illegal behavior by individuals, businesses, and government agencies, can be complicated, time-consuming, and expensive. It requires teams of journalists, months of research, interviews with numerous people, long-distance travel, computers to analyze public record databases, or use of the company's legal staff to secure documents under freedom of information laws. Because of its inherently confrontational nature, this kind of reporting is often the first to suffer from budget cutbacks or interference from outside the news department. Investigative reporting done poorly can also expose journalists and media organizations to negative reaction from subjects of investigations and the public and accusation of journalism. When conducted correctly, it can bring the attention of the public and government problems and conditions that the public deem need to be addressed and can win awards and recognition to the journalists involved and the media outlet that did the reporting. Counterjournalism is a type of journalism popularized by the American writer Hunter S. Thompson. Counterjournalism is characterized by its punchy style, rough language, and ostensible disregard for controversial journalistic writing forms and customs. Content journalism attempts to present a multidisciplinary perspective on a particular story, drawing from popular culture, sports, and political, philosophical, and literary sources. It is a style of journalism that is written without claims of objectivity, often including the reporter as part of the story via a first-person narrative. Journalism disregards the strictly edited product favored by newspaper media and strives for a more personal approach. The personality of a piece is equally as important as the event the piece is on. The use of sarcasm, humor, exaggerations, and profanity is common. Journalism has been styled eclectic or untraditional. It has a good deal in common with one-line journalism. Celebrity or people journalism is another area of journalism that grew in stature in the 20th century. It is celebrity or people's journalism, which focuses on the personal lives of people. Primarily, celebrities are movie and stage actors, musical artists, models, and photographers. Other notable people in the entertainment industry, as well as people who seek attention, such as politicians, and people thrust into the attention of the public, such as people who do something newsworthy. Celebrity journalism differs from the feature writing in that it focuses on people who are either already famous or are especially attractive. And in that, it often covers celebrities, to the point of these journalists behaving unethically in order to provide coverage. The photographers who would be loyal of celebrities incessantly to obtain potentially embarrassing photographs have come to characterize celebrity journalism. Journalistic style is a system of interrelated lexical, phraseological, and grammatical means. The newspaper, one of the most typical of media propaganda, there is massive in the recipient and author. Thus, journalistic communication includes such features which relate to the manifestation of intelligent speech. These stylistic features are documentary character, manifested in the objectivity and presentation effectually proven, that in terms of style can be defined as a validly documented factual accuracy of expression. Documentary factual accuracy is manifested in termination of speech, limited metaphor of terms other than the standard, the wide use of jargon. The second, self-restraint formality, emphasizing the importance of facts, information, and these features are implemented, the character of speech, peculiar phraseology, and so forth. The third, certain generality, abstraction, and conceptual presentation as a result of analyticity. Actually, the newspaper corresponded and a specific act not on behalf of any one person or small group of individuals, but as a rule express the position of millions of adherents. In this regard, one of the characteristic stylistic features of journalistic, especially newsprint, speech is a kind of collectivity, as expressed in special importance and function of the linguistic units. Today's journalistic style has the following characteristics: compact, usually short sentences, every word selected in place for the maximum effect. Short paragraphs, each complete in itself and capable of being removed without destroying the sense of the story. Consciousness, directness, and simplicity through elimination of unnecessary words and phrases. Factualness without editorial opinions and dogmatic expressions. Strong verbs and nouns preferred over hackneyed words and expressions. Observance of grammatical and word usage rules. Journalistic style is a system of interrelated lexical, phraseological, and grammatical means, serving the purpose of information, instructing, and in addition, entertaining the reader. As a result of this diversity of purposes, Newspapers contained not only strictly informational, but also evaluative material, comments and views of the news writers, especially characteristics of editorials and feature articles. There are some distinctive language peculiarities of the journalistic style. They are the following: special political and economic terms, non-term political words such as officials, hostage kidnappers, protest, breakdown regime, local terror cells, popularity rating, emergency anti-terror funding. A characteristic feature of political vocabulary is that the borderline between terms and non-terms is less distinct than in the vocabulary of other special fields. The semantic structure of some words comprises both terms and non-terms. For example, crisis, agreement, progressive, nationwide, unity. Lofty bookish words, including certain phrases based on metaphors and thus emotionally colored. War, escalation of war, overwhelming majority, a storm of applause, post-act clean up, global hunt for terrorists, a shot of power. Newspapers shares they are stereotyped expressions, commonplace phrases familiar to the reader, for example, public opinion, free markets, long-term agreements, a meeting pot, to cast a veto over, crucial pressure problems, zero tolerance, political correctness, to go postal, extremely hostile. Abbreviations, including abbreviated terms, names of organizations, public and state bodies, political associations, industrial and other companies, various offices known by their initials are very common. For example, EU, European Union, UNO, United Nations Organizations, WTO, World Trade Organization, EEC, European Economic Community. Neologisms are very common in journalistic vocabulary. In the early 21st century, neologisms related to computers and the internet outnumber of all others. For example, a feeling of illness caused by using a computer for a long period of time, some sicknesses, people, something, someone with whom one regularly exchanges email, online auction, access provider, MP3, PDA, personal assistance. Foreign words are traditionally used in journalistic style. Others have recently come from the areas of new terminology. Complex sentences was a developed system of clauses. Syntactical complexes, verbal constructions, infinitive, participle, gerundial, and verbal noun constructions. Specific word order 5 and H pattern rule: who, what, why, how, where, then. Attribute noun groups, for example, leap, interspace, age, emotionally colored words and elements to help create a clearer mental picture for the reader. The third-person narrations, use of direct speech or indirect speech, which is attributed to someone other than the reporter. Use of passive verbs, but usually only when someone who is being quoted wants to distance themselves from an issue and to show their objectivity about an issue. The past tends to denote that something has taken place, so mostly. Punchy style, it must grab the reader's attention, so often uses short rather than long words, active words, relative short sentences, concrete rather than abstract vocabulary. Sentences written in full or elliptical sentences, stylistic devices. Primary functions of journalistic style. As for the primary functions of journalistic style, as far as you know, journalism is the practice of investigating and reporting events, issues, and trends to the mass audience of print, broadcast, and online media such as newspapers, magazines, books, radio and television, stations and networks, blogs, and social and mobile media. So journalistic style is a very complex phenomenon because of its task and conditions of communication. Thus, journalism is rich and expressive style. As fiction, it has considerable power to influence uses of variety of trails, rhetorical figures, the multiple lexical and grammatical means. And questions. What is a formal model of government control of the media? Answer the following questions. And has media ownership a strong effect on media rights and inequalities? The lecture is over. Goodbye.